Is it proper, ma'am?
Ma'am, make it full screen. We are not able to see presenter view. You go to slideshow and start from first slide.
Yes, yes. See, now?
Yes, now it is clear. Now it's clear.
Okay. So, can I start?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, hello everyone. Good evening. Myself, Sakshi Tondwalkar, and I'm a counseling psychologist, a school counselor. I welcome Madhu ma'am, all the supervisors, and my teachers to the seventh in-house training of this academic year. So, today's topic is embracing diversity, inclusive education, and classroom counseling for children with special needs. But before we begin
Oh,
the training, I request you all to join your hands, close your eyes so we can start the prayer. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So now, the as we all have a very hectic day, so we have a 2 minutes of relaxation technique here. So I want you all to close your eyes and just to listen to this music.
ये वाला है ना साक्षी रिसोर्स पर्सन देख लीजिए ठीक है बंद
Okay. So now this is the session flow. So the session begins with the introduction and the icebreaker round. After that, I will be heading towards the classification of special needs. Then it is understanding inclusive education, classroom counseling, what classroom counseling is, what are the methods, and then fifth is the conclusion and sharing and discussion round. The objective of the session is recognizing and understanding the common types of special needs among school age children, understanding the principle of inclusive education, identifying how classroom based counseling can support inclusion. And the fourth point is learning practical strategies to foster inclusivity in everyday classroom setting. So, to begin the session, what comes to your mind when you hear a child with special needs? This is a open for all of you. So, if you could just unmute yourself and answer what comes to your mind when you hear a child with a special need.
special attention
Yes, absolutely right, Zainab ma'am. Anyone else who wants to put in their inputs? अगर आपने सुना कि ये बच्चे को स्पेशल नीड्स है, he is different. So what comes to your mind?
What exactly is the issue?
Okay, very right, Umesh. So anyone else?
Soft and positive approach.
Yes, you always need to be very soft and polite to these children because they are little different when it comes to emotional background and cognitive processing. So very nice, Delson ma'am. Anyone else?
Understanding child's Sakshi ma'am,
हाँ
understand
आरती मैम
child psychology.
right बराबर to
Understanding the
understand
child psych-
what the child is undergoing, what his psychology is, right? Any other teachers who want to just answer कि आपके मन में क्या आता है जब आप सुनते हो कि ये बच्चे को स्पेशल नीड्स है या ये बच्चा को स्पेशल है?
मैम वो कौन से बैकग्राउंड से है उसके उसका बैकग्राउंड
हम्म
उसके
Ma'am, shall I?
yes
Ma'am, when I hear that some child is with special needs, so it comes in my mind that I have to do some little extra. I have to give him some extra hand, some extra help to that child. And maybe he is a differently abled,
right
the child is. Not
very
like he and she will need extra help.
Uh, when we talk about special child, na,
hmm
there needs to be a lot more focus. The child is required so that he can be then uh, normalized.
yes as you all said very rightly that special needs children need more attention, need more help. Poonam ma'am and Zadab ma'am and Aarti ma'am mentioned we need to also check the background, how like what are the backgrounds because many time happens the parental influential, the behavior, the environment also affects the child's growth and the child's development. So moving ahead, we will understand what special needs are and what are the different types of students which we can see around in our school. So, children with special needs. So, children with special needs are children who acquire additional support, services, or accommodation due to physical, developmental, behavioral, emotional, or learning differences. And 15% of the world's population, at least like 1 billion people, have some or other forms of disability, not just mental, physical disabilities as well. Whether it might be whether during the present, like during the birth or acquired later in life. Few kids or few adults after they made some accident or some traumatic incident, they might have mental or physical disabilities, and nearly 240 millions of them are children. So the whole world's ratio when it comes to children, when it comes to student is 240 million, which is also a very great number. But now, what are the different types of disabilities which we can see in a school setting? तो फर्स्ट है द लर्निंग डिसेबिलिटी. इसके बारे में हमने बहुत ज्यादा सुना रहेगा कि ये बच्चा एलडी है, ये बच्चे को कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा है, लिखते कैसे पढ़ता कैसा है, या मैथ्स में पता नहीं, मैथ्स में कंफ्यूज हो जाता है. सो व्हाट इज एग्जैक्टली लर्निंग डिसेबिलिटी और एलडी? So these are the neurobiologically based process problems that interfere with learning basic skills, reading, writing, or math. They can also affect the higher level organizations, like higher level skills, like such as organization, time management, and abstract reasoning. So that is the reason it happens when these children face difficulty while writing or reading. It also affects the organization or the time management. We might have seen that if a child is not good in academics, if that child is facing difficulty while writing or reading, uska management skills, how to manage the assignment or how to organize things properly is also affected, is also at a low level as compared to the other students. And so we always consider them as a different student. So there are the learning disability is not related to intelligence. This is the main line. As even if the child has a normal IQ level that is around like उसका average IQ level भी हो, फिर भी उसका जो learning disability है वो आ सकता है. So even if the IQ is high, normal or average normal, still there might be the diagnosed learning disability. So now there are three disabilities, there are three types of disabilities. First is dyslexia, that is difficulty in reading. The child might find difficult while reading basic words as compared to the age appropriate class. Dysgraphia is difficulty with with writing. So usko likhne mein he might write B as a mirror image as D, or he might get confused between J and G. or he might also find it, he will also write J ulta, that is a mirror image. Then the third type is the dyscalculia, that is difficulty with math. So in difficulty with math, he will find all the numbers flying around, as we might have seen in Tare Zameen Par. Ishan had the same dyscalculia where he used to think that the numbers are flying and roaming around in the space. So he used to find maths very tricky and difficult when, so he was diagnosed for dyscalculia as a learning disability. Moving next, explaining all these three types of disability more in detail. So the first one, the dyslexia, difficulty in reading, that affects the reading, spelling, and writing. So not only the student finds difficult while reading, but also when he's writing the spellings or writing में, क्योंकि वो confuse हो रहा है कि इसको लिखते कैसे, इसको पढ़ते कैसे. So that affects his reading, spelling, and writing skills. The signs which we could see is, so this is very important, when we are observing a pre-primary student or a primary student, usually this happens in that age group, where we can understand and we can identify that the child might have dyslexia or learning disability. So the signs which could be helpful is if he is difficulty in recognizing words, like basic words also he is finding difficulty, that might be one sign. Second is the poor spelling. If he is very bad at spellings, usually parents come and tell me कि, or tell teachers in general कि इसको पढ़ना नहीं आता है, इसके spellings बहुत खराब है, basic spellings याद नहीं रहता है. If it is on a higher level, that the student is not able to cope up with the normal spellings according to the age group, it might be the child is having some issue or is having some disability. He might also have a slow reading skills. So compared to the other students, he might read the words very slowly and very in a different way as compared to the other students. So how can we support this child? So we can have a phonics-based instruction where the child can read and listen to your lip sync, your voice, and can recollect how the word is written. Audiobooks is also very good support for them, and extra reading time. So in our school also we provide these kind of children, these special children extra reading time as to understand their differences. So I will show you a small video on what dyslexia is and how different dyslexia can be.
Excuse me, Sakshi ma'am, you need to share sound with the video.
1 second. The video is audible. Is it audible?
No, ma'am. You need to stop sharing.
Okay.
Stop sharing your screen.
Yes.
Okay. Now go to share screen and share your video if you've not downloaded it. Choose your tab, and there you'll find share sound. Share computer audio, share something.
Yeah, share sound.
Yes. You
Yes.
click on that and now share.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.
Your brain is amazing, and nobody else has one quite
Okay, thank you.
like it. Although everybody's brain looks the same, they all work differently from each other. Just as we all have different
Video is not
colours,
visible.
skin,
Now it is. Now
hair,
it is.
and eyes, we all have a
Sorry, Khyati ma'am.
No, now the video is visible.
Okay, and audio also, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
brain that's individual to us. Like a fingerprint, we have different personalities, tastes, strengths, and weaknesses. Our brains can even see and understand the world in different ways. One of those ways is called dyslexia. which affects how the brain handles information it sees and hears. Dyslexic people may find it difficult to match letters to sounds and to remember how to spell words. They may even see letters moving around when they're reading. They might have trouble telling left from right. Remembering lots of instructions can be especially hard. They may need more thinking time to remember the right word.
Chicken! No, wait. Duck!
As well as memorizing sequences. It may be difficult for them to hold a pencil and to write by hand. Even organizing themselves can be difficult. But everyone with dyslexia is different. It can affect how people feel about themselves. When they struggle with a task that other people find easy, they may feel frustrated, angry, or sad. Some dyslexic people try to hide their difficulties because they are worried about what others will think of them. However, thinking differently can be a really good thing. A person with dyslexia may be very good at seeing patterns and solving problems, imagining and rotating objects in their heads, telling stories and making people laugh, taking things apart, understanding how they work, and figuring out how to put them together again. Inventing, drawing, painting, and making things. Seeing the bigger picture. Dyslexic people can do a lot of things. They just might do them in a different way to how others would, and many of them have even become famous for it. There have been many famous dyslexic inventors, writers, scientists, business people, astronomers, paleontologists, actors, cooks, singers, artists, architects, and so on. Dyslexic people have changed the world. See dyslexia differently.
So this was a small video on how dyslexic people can be different. Even if they are different and they work differently, they have achieved many things in their life. There are many scientists, there are many astronauts, like scientists, teachers, and many other people. So moving to the next classification of special need, that is dysgraphia. So dysgraphia is difficulty with writing that affects the handwriting and the fine motor skills. So as we could see here, the handwriting of a child is not at all readable, and it's like very different as compared to the other children. So what are the signs which we can see in schools in pre-primary sections or the primary sections is if the child has a poor handwriting. It might also continue for the secondary and the higher secondary. If the student have poor handwriting, it is not at all readable. He has trouble with spellings and awkward pencil grip. The grip should be proper. If the grip is not proper, the handwriting won't be as readable as compared to the others. So, what support can be given if the student is a dysgraphia, has been diagnosed with dysgraphia? We can tell them to type instead of writing, as it will be more helpful for them. Occupational therapy. So, occupational therapy is a type of therapy where the therapist teaches a child to it improves its motor skills, also how he can do the daily life activity, because they also find difficulty in organizing things. Structured writing practice. So continuously remedials for structured writing practice can be helpful and be supportive to this type of students. So here we could see the cylindrical, usually these type of children have this cylindrical grasp of the pencil, and we have to transfer it to the tripod grasp, that is the actual way of holding a pencil. So these development or these इसको ज़्यादा अच्छे से जो occupational therapist है they can help them. Also the teachers, I have seen that they help the student to hold the pencil properly and to write them and to tell them to write in a proper way. So the students who have dysgraphia can have this three types: digital grasp, modified tripod grasp type of pencil holding. Now what are few things which we could see as a sign of dysgraphia. So, illegible handwriting, that's it's not readable at all. It avoids writing or drawing. So these children usually run away when it comes to writing or drawing because again they don't know how to hold a pencil, which leads to a very bad handwriting. Difficulty writing regardless of ability to read. They can read properly, but when it comes to writing, they don't want to write. Tires quickly while writing. As the grip is not proper, the students get tired very easily. The fifth one is difficulty organizing thoughts on paper. So even if the child is very intelligent, has a good IQ level, still he or she might find it difficult to note it down on the paper in form of essay or any answer. So usually dysgraphia, the student who has dysgraphia finds difficulty during exams, and even if he knows the answer, he has studied well, they don't know what to write on the paper. Tight, awkward pencil grip and body position. Omits or leaves words unfinished in writing. So usually, these students, even if they know everything, as mentioned earlier, they just don't complete the word. Like if it is environment, they will just write the half word and MENT ko chhod denge. They won't write it. Then says words out loudly while reading. So that is the thing. We usually give the special needs student or children a different room for the examination or for their test. So where they can read the words out loudly and write it peacefully, and which will be helpful for them. So here there is a small video on dysgraphia.
If a student has difficulty writing, it may be a sign of dysgraphia. Compared to other learning disabilities like dyslexia and ADHD, dysgraphia is not well understood. There's just not a lot of research yet. But we do know that for children who have dysgraphia, it can be a serious obstacle to academic success. According to the National Center for Learning Disabilities, dysgraphia can impair a person's ability to write, spell, and put thoughts down on paper. The condition may be characterized by strong thinking skills but weak writing skills. And there are signs you should look out for: difficulty gripping a pencil, slow, labored writing, poor spelling, irregular letter sizes and shapes, inconsistent spacing, and a mix of upper and lowercase letters. It's easy to forget about dysgraphia and dismiss poor handwriting as sloppy or lazy, but that's a real problem. Students with dysgraphia may already suffer from low self-esteem, high stress levels, and difficulty forming friendships. So what should teachers do? First and foremost, be supportive so that students are encouraged to work on their handwriting. Teachers can also provide large pencils or pencils with specialized grips, let kids use tape recorders, speech-to-text software, or computer keyboards to capture their thinking, give additional time for writing assignments and tests, consider assigning alternatives to writing such as oral reports, and help students practice motor skills by playing with clay, for example, or tracing letters.
So now is dyscalculia. So in dyscalculia, it is a difficulty in math. The child finds difficult in understanding the number and math concepts. They find it very tricky. They don't understand basic additions or subtraction sums. Now, what are the signs? So they might have trouble with counting, telling time, or doing mental math. The support which can be given is visual aids, hands-on activity, and also they can be using calculator. So, in understanding the signs of dyscalculia, these are some common signs which we can observe in students, and we can find out and we can send them for the learning disability test. So, difficulty comparing the values of number, maths anxiety. This is the most common type of symptom. So, usually they just don't attempt or they don't give their maths exam or submit their maths assignments. They just don't want to do it, even if sometimes they are willing to do it. They have this anxiety कि अगर मुझे नहीं आ रहा है, अगर ये numbers फिर से गलत हो गए या मुझे कम marks मिला तो फिर से, because maths being a very important subject, there is also a parental pressure कि maths में अच्छे marks आने चाहिए. That also decreases their self-esteem. Often unable to explain what they are doing. So again, and in all the three learning disabilities or learning disorders, They find it difficult for organization or explaining things. Slow processing and information retrieval using strategies such as finger counting, then difficulties with sequencing and pattern spotting, finds math tricky. So percentage and fractions and other math concepts are very tricky for them. Difficulty with memory. They also have a very tough time when it comes to remembering the formulas or just recognizing what the signs are or the different type of formulas. So here is one video.
Early warning signs of dyscalculia. Dyscalculia is a learning disability associated with mathematics. Individuals with dyscalculia don't process and represent numbers in a typical way. Hallmark symptoms include difficulty with number sense, fact and calculation, mathematical reasoning, basic mathematical concepts. 5 to 7% of students in the U.S. have this math-based learning disability. Still, it often goes undiagnosed until a child fails in school. These early warning signs can help teachers and parents detect symptoms before any damage is done. 1. Using fingers to count. Kids with dyscalculia use crutches like these long after peers have stopped. 2. Persistent inability to memorize math facts. Poor working memory compromises the ability to calculate and remember solutions. 3. Inability to associate a number with a quantity. The meaning of numbers, the connection between a symbol or word and the quantity it represents, does not make sense. 4. Trouble understanding numerical expressions. This can present as trouble understanding what counting means or difficulty learning and retaining multiplication tables. 5. Math anxiety. A child who can't understand numbers might have an emotional reaction like anxiety or stress. If you recognize symptoms of dyscalculia in your child, consult an educational psychologist for an evaluation.
So the next type is ADHD, which is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. This is also so this type of disorder. Usually, there are many students who have this type of disorder, that is ADHD, but that is again not diagnosed at a proper age. So, a neurodevelopmental, what is ADHD basically? It is a neurodevelopmental disorder involving inattention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. So there are three types of ADHD. Not only the child who has ADHD is very hyper and इधर से उधर jump करते रहेगा या फिर classroom में नहीं बैठेगा. No, that is only one type of ADHD. There are more two types. First one is the inattentiveness. So even if we give him n number of instructions and if we tell him word to word steps or word to word about the math or any other thing, they won't be able to pay attention to it. So first is the inattentiveness. They will usually find it very difficult to understand what others are saying. या उनका usual sentence will be कि मैम ने क्या बोला मुझे कुछ समझा नहीं, and he or she wants that same thing to be repeated twice or thrice or maybe more than that. Second type is the hyperactive or impulsiveness. So these kids usually are very hyperactive. They will just run around and they won't be sitting in one place during their classes, or they won't be following the basic school norms or following rules and regulations, following instructions. And third is the combined type. So this one is actually a little more dangerous because inattentiveness plus hyperactiveness. So you never know what the child can be doing. He at one moment he will be very as a shant, ekdam quiet, and you might feel that the student is paying attention and everything. But the second moment the child will be so hyperactive that he will just run around in the class. And we have few students in our primary section and in our secondary section who has this type of disorder. So what can affect their development is the focus might be affected, the organization skills, and the task completion. So we could have observed that the focus is very less. For 1 minute, the student will be paying attention to whatever is being taught in the school, and then again for the second moment, it is like the focus is gone. Organization will also be very bad. So what support can be given is medications. So these children usually, when they are diagnosed, are put under basic medications to reduce the hyperactiveness or to increase their focus. And the second is the behavioral management strategies. So they can also be going for a ABA therapy, that is applied behavioral analysis therapy, which works on the behaviors, because these kids sometimes are very violent or aggressive when it comes to the behavior. So all this type of the focus, memory, and other emotional and behavior things can be taken into consideration with ABA therapies. And accommodation at school, so these children, as we also provide them a different class for the examination and give them extra time and many other facilities. So there is a small video of what exactly ADHD is and how different the inattentiveness, hyperactiveness, impulsive, and combined type is.
I took medication when I was a kid. Everyone said I would outgrow it, so I stopped taking the medication in college. Everything is so hard now.
I hate math. It's so boring. I know I'm bad at it, even though my teacher says I'm not.
I'm a failure. I can't remember to do homework, I lose things, I can't get anything right.
I hate feeling like I'm different, but I really am. Work seems like it's easy for everyone else.
These are the voices of people with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD. Millions of American children, teenagers, and adults experience this disorder, which makes it hard to concentrate, pay attention, organize, and focus. Their lives are complicated because of it. I know. One of these voices is mine. I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was 9. Most kids with ADHD start to struggle with symptoms even earlier than that. I first noticed my symptoms in school when we began doing projects that took planning, and I got frustrated a lot. Later, in middle school, I was on the basketball team, but I was always late to practice. Eventually, my teacher called my parents to talk about my grades, since I understood the material, but didn't turn things in on time. At that point, my parents, my coach, and my teacher all compared how things were going. And that's when my parents took me to see my pediatrician. ADHD can show up in 3 different types: inattentive, hyperactive impulsive, and combined. My symptoms were more of the inattentive type. I was having a lot of trouble losing things or forgetting things, not finishing homework, and organizing my work for projects and future assignments. My parents told me at first that they wondered if I had a hearing problem, because sometimes I would look like I didn't hear them when they talked to me. Other children also struggle to keep their attention in class, can look super distracted at home and school, and have trouble with details for things they're not interested in. Kids with more hyperactive or impulsive symptoms have trouble waiting for their turn. They might get up from their seats in class, run around when it's not a good time to do that, talk all the time, interrupt people, or blurt out answers. A lot of times, kids with ADHD can get into trouble, since the symptoms can look like they don't care or aren't respectful of others. But they do care. They just can't control it because of their problem with attention. While some people might have inattentive type and others have hyperactive impulsive type ADHD, still others might have symptoms of both, which is called combined type. If people show 6 symptoms from either of the first 2 types, or a combination of them adding to 6, they fit the diagnosis. While ADHD is most commonly diagnosed in kids, almost all of them continue to experience it as teenagers, and a majority still have symptoms as adults. Only some people grow out of it. The most important thing to know is that treatment for ADHD works. For little kids, this is behavior therapy that also includes their parents, so the whole family can be part of the solution. For school-aged kids and older, the best choice is medication or a combination of medication and therapy. I had behavior therapy where I learned some skills, like specific time management and organization techniques, that helped me in school and in my sport. I also took a stimulant medication that helped me focus my attention. Sometimes people find great help in non-stimulant medications, especially younger kids. For most people, ADHD medications really help focus and block out distractions. ADHD is a serious challenge for kids, teenagers, and adults who struggle to pay attention and focus in many parts of their lives. But there is hope. Treatment works. School wasn't easy for me, but with my therapy and medication, I learned what I needed to do to make it work. People go on to do well in school and succeed in their lives and careers, in spite of and because of their ADHD. I know. I did.
So that was for ADHD. Now let's move on to the third type of disorder. That is the third type of special needs classification. So that is autism spectrum disorder, also known as ASD. So autism, or the kids who have autism, they have a developmental condition that affects their communication, social interaction, and behavior. So usually you might have seen the children or the students who have autism, they just don't want to be around people, or they just want to live alone. They don't like social interacting. Even if you go towards them and you want to talk to them, they will just run away or throw tantrums. So, and the spectrum, it varies from a person to person, from child to child. So the children might have repetitive behaviors, limited interest, and sensitiveness. So they usually are very sensitive when it comes to sound or any objects. So usually they don't like bright lights, or they don't like high volume sounds. That makes them difficult to be in the situation or be in the environment. So what support can be given is again the behavior therapy, which works for them, and also the speech therapy because their communication is not proper, and structured learning for them. So like if they will be given a proper kind of worksheets or proper kinds of homework for their practice, it might help them academically as well. So how you can help the children with autism
As a
if
parent,
you find this
watching your
if you find this type of symptoms in the student?
child grow up can be filled with joy as they take their first steps and say their first words. But for parents of children with autism spectrum disorder, you may notice missed milestones or that your child has trouble communicating. Typically, the signs of ASD, a lifelong neurodevelopmental condition, become evident in children between 1 and 3 years old. Signs can include, but aren't limited to, not responding to their name being called, not making joyful expressions by the age of 6 months, not saying any 2-word phrases by age 24 months. While it can be worrisome and stressful if you notice any of these signs in your child, talking to your child's pediatrician can provide answers and guidance. People with ASD view the world differently. They may have trouble with communication, social interactions, and nonverbal and verbal cues, which can make it challenging to interact with others, including you. They may not understand facial expressions and take longer to process information. But receiving an ASD diagnosis is an opportunity for you to learn more about your child. It's important that you let your child know that you love them for who they are. And there are simple things you can do each day that can make a difference in both of your lives. Examples include being consistent. Children with ASD like routines, so establish your daily habits that work for your family and stick with them. Being patient. You may explore different parenting or communication techniques and approaches, but don't become discouraged if your child doesn't respond well to new things. Getting support. Children with ASD can benefit from behavioral, physical, and speech therapy, but it's also important to have friends and family who understand ASD and how it works. Parent support groups can also be helpful in sharing advice. Everyone's journey with ASD is different. Being a parent to a child with ASD can be overwhelming at times, but also rewarding. Don't hesitate to lean on your child's doctors, therapists, and even their teachers to help you and your family find the best ways to connect and communicate with your child. And remember to celebrate your child for the person they are. As a parent,
So the second last type of disability is the physical impairments. So may involve mobility. So the kids who have cerebral palsy, they also have vision or hearing impairments. So all this involves on the physical impairment. So they need assistive device, classroom accessibility, or modified tasks. So for them, we need to modify the regular curriculum, little less level of the assignments or the paper setting. The next one is the emotional and behavioral disorder. This is the major type of disorder seen post COVID. Usually, the COVID children, the ones who are being birth during the COVID times, have this type of disorder, that is the emotional and behavioral disorder. That includes anxiety, depression, oppositional defiant disorder, and conduct disorder. So they are usually very aggressive. They have zero tolerance, like the zero patience level. They also withdraw very easily. Like if they don't want to do it, they will just move out from the classroom, or they won't listen to you, or even argue with an extent कि हमें नहीं करना है, हम नहीं करेंगे. So these type of children usually have emotional and behavioral disorders, excessive fear or low motivation. They might end up into something which they don't want it to do, but because of their emotions and the behavior, they might do something which is not acceptable. So usually you might have seen they will make faces, they will just close their ears when teacher or the parents are saying something, they will accept risk in life. As the other student is playing, the child is playing with the merry-go-round in a very inappropriate way. They will be very notorious or very teasing nature in general.
Emotional behavioral disability. This disability is defined by IDEA under emotional disturbances. One or more of the following 5 characteristics must be present in order for the student to be diagnosed. An inability to learn which cannot be explained by intellectual, sensory, or health factors. An inability to build or maintain satisfactory interpersonal relationships with peers and teachers. Inappropriate behaviors or feelings under normal circumstances. A general mood of unhappiness or depression. And a tendency to develop physical symptoms or fears associated with personal or school problems. These characteristics must be present over a long period of time and to a degree that negatively affects the student's education performance. Students with emotional behavioral disability have IQ scores in the low average range. They also present moderate to severe academic difficulties in multiple areas and limited academic improvement over time. These students will oftentimes disrupt class and respond impulsively. They will lack knowledge or skills required to perform essential social behaviors or just not choose to perform the behaviors. Don't worry. Strategies have been developed to help teachers help their students with EBD. Expect and create. First, you must expect appropriate behavior. The students need guidance, model behavior, and feedback. Reinforcements and punishments should be used just as they would be with other students. There should be clear behavior expectations, and responses to rule violations should be consistent and sound. Second, teachers should be proactive in creating a community of people who will support the student. It can include parents, siblings, other teachers, extracurricular leaders, friends, and others. Communication and collaboration are vital among the members of this group. The needs of the child, behavior triggers, and expectations should all be well known. Students with EBD are absolutely capable of being included in a general education classroom. Teachers should recognize and respond to progress because it will encourage the students to continue their good behaviors and build self-esteem. The students should have an individualized behavior intervention plan. The BIP describes the problem behavior, the reasons the behavior occurs, and the intervention strategies that will address the behavior. Einstein said it best, in the middle of difficulty lies opportunity. All students have an opportunity to be successful. Believe in Emotional behavioral disability. Emotion
So these are some indicators teachers can observe in the classroom. So when it comes to the cognitive area, the possible indicators are trouble reading, frequent errors, poor problem solving. When it comes to behavioral area, it is inattention, restlessness, aggression, tantrums, and frequent absences. So you might see the students who have this any type of the disability, mental disability. So they will be very absent, very frequently absent. Like in a week, they might only come twice or thrice. Then the third one is the social and emotional area. So withdrawal, excessive crying, lack of peer interaction, low confidence. Communication, delayed speech, difficulty expressing needs, limited vocabulary. Physically, they might have difficulty with fine or gross motor skills, unusual posture, and frequent fatigue. So now there is one activity I want you all to participate. So here you have to tell me any movies or books that are showcasing disabilities or children with special needs. So one you can see on the screen. वो छोड़ के बाकी बोलना है. So one is तारे ज़मीन पर. So any teachers who can just put in the inputs कि कौन से books है या movies है जिसमें disabilities के बारे में बताया गया है या children with special needs के बारे में बताया गया है.
One Rani Mukherjee's movie. I just now I don't remember the name, but she herself is a
Kid.
teacher and she has a problem with
Hitchki.
Hitchki movie.
Hitchki, yes.
So as a teacher, she has a problem. Plus, student has another problem, and she was solving the problem.
Yes. So even if she had a disability, she was different from other teachers, but she was making sure that she is giving her 100% best and also helping other students. Very right, Kashmira Miss. Hitchki is one of the movie. Other movies.
My name
Oh,
is Khan.
My name is Khan. Yes, Vaishali Miss. So in My Name is Khan, he had autism and he had difficulty in communicating with his family members or interacting with his friends. Or
Ma'am,
कोई
there is
movie?
Sadma picture of Sridevi.
Okay. Uh, do you know which kind of disability was there or what was the disorder?
It was memory loss
She
problem,
had
I
a
think.
memory loss
Sadma.
problem.
Okay.
Suddenly, in the middle, she loses her memory and she regains. And by the time she regains, the person who is treating her loses his memory.
Okay, got it. Any other books? The book
Barfi,
readers?
there's a movie
Barfi.
Rain Man by Dustin Hoffman. That the
Okay.
movie where he's afraid of flying because he had read about plane crashes or something. So he's afraid of flying. So
Yes.
that's
So
Rain
also
Man.
the traumatic experiences or different experiences which we have in our life leaves an imprint on our minds and our heart, which some or other way affects our daily life or daily living. Any other books, book readers?
One more movie, Stanley Ka Dabba, and Marathi movie is Ubuntu. Ubuntu. So they both
Ubuntu. Okay.
relate the teacher and students relation.
Ma'am, there are other movies also like Black, Barfi,
Yes.
and Iqbal. And I
Yes.
think Marathi movie was Yellow, I think so.
Yes, Yellow, the child had Down syndrome, if I'm not
Yes,
wrong.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Even Pa.
Pa, yes. Who was that for Pa? I couldn't read your name.
Janita.
Yes, Janita Miss. Pa is also one of the movie. Any book readers जो बुक्स पढ़ते हो जिन्होंने कुछ डिसेबिलिटी के बारे में कोई बुक्स पढ़ा हो और एनी स्टोरी there is one book on autism. Uh, even that's a very good book.
One recently book has come by one of our students' parent on autism, Nehal Tiwari. I don't remember.
Okay, that's a nice one.
because
Oh,
it's she has shared the experience of her own daughter, and she has
okay.
mentioned our school names in a very nice way.
Mhm.
How she had overcome with us.
Okay, nice. What is the name of the book, sir?
I don't remember. I think it's autism. Don't remember. It's a recent book, right? The Seema Tiwari.
Okay, okay, sure. Thank you, sir. Anyone wants to?
one more
Yes,
Khamoshi
yes.
movie. Khamoshi movie, Manisha Koirala's first movie, and Nana
Khamosh.
Patekar and parents was dumb and deaf.
Yes, yes. Anyone? Or should we move ahead? Okay. So moving next, now we got to know what exactly the special needs are or what disabilities are. We will now be going forward for what inclusive education is. Now, how we can take all these different type of students together and move ahead as an institution. So there is this one topic that is inclusive education. So inclusive education is an approach where all children, regardless of their abilities, disabilities, or background, learn together in the same age appropriate classroom and school. So in our school also there are different type of students who few of them have some disorders, but we are together learning and moving ahead in our lives. It also promotes equal participation. It removes barrier to learning and ensures that every child is respected, valued, and given the opportunity to reach their full potential. Throughout my 1 year of experience with and the observation in this school, I have seen that each and every student is respected and given equal opportunity no matter what or how the child is or what abilities or disabilities a child has. We all as a team are moving together with these kinds of children. What are the goals of inclusive education? So first is the quality or equality of access. Every child has the right to educate and should be able to access it without discrimination. Participation for all. Children actively participate in classroom and school activities. As that day during our workshop, the in-house offline workshop, Pule sir mentioned that there are students in primary sections who are actively participating in classroom despite being a little different from the normal student. Achievement for all, focus on the progress and development of each student, not just academic performance but also in their sports or their physical education. Social integration, foster mutual respect, friendships, and acceptance among diverse learners. Empowerment of teachers and school. So, equip educators with tools and knowledge to support the diverse needs. These are the goals of inclusive education. The next are the core principles of inclusive education. So the first one is respect for diversity, recognizing, recognizing and celebrating differences as strengths and not obstacles. As in our workshop also during that poem where we had to draw the things which we could remember, we all were very different, but at the same time, all the differences we were looking as a strength. So our differences are celebrated as strengths rather than being as an obstacle. So in Yellow movie also, the child had I think Down syndrome, and she was one of the best swimmer. She was representing the state, I think. Then the second one is the equal opportunities. Every child should receive support tailored to their unique needs. Child-centered approach. Teaching is adapted to fit the needs of the child, not the other way around. Flexibility in curriculum and assessments. Modifying teaching methods, content, and value and evaluation techniques to suit all learners. This, the fifth and the sixth core principles are collaboration. So involvement of teachers, parents, special educators, psychologists, and peers in supporting the child. So not only just teachers or parents or psychologists and special educators need to be, but the most important is the peers So peers play a very important role when it comes to inclusive education. So we as grown-up adults can understand that okay, the child is different, but the peers or the different type of students, they find it very difficult to adjust with these kids, because I have heard that these students are usually kept aside, or else they are a part of being gossip कि अरे ये तो ऐसा है, इससे बात नहीं करना है, इससे फ्रेंडशिप नहीं करनी. But we need to be a team and keep on having collaborations to support the child. Non-discrimination. No child should be excluded or marginalized based on disability, language, ethnicity, or social background. Seventh one is the participation and belongingness. So ensuring every child feels accepted and is an integral part of the school community. So, inclusive educators believe in valuing student difference and supporting their learning needs to the greatest extent possible. Moving next is the practical strategies for the inclusive classroom. If anyone could read this, any teacher who wants to read it. Kashmira Miss, Janita Miss, because I could see your names, Umesh sir.
Miss, may I?
Yeah, sure, Ruby Miss. Thank you.
Practical strategies for the inclusive classroom. Tips for managing diverse learning. Know your students. Use learner profiles to understand strengths, needs, and interests. Differentiate instructions. Offer varied ways to learn: visual, auditory, kinesthetic. Adjust content complexity, not just quantity. Set clear expectations. Use consistent routines and simple instructions. Reinforce positive behavior more than punishing negative behavior.
Yes, thank you, Ruby Miss. So here the main line is reinforcing the positive behavior more than punishing negative behavior. So out of 5 behaviors, 3 might be negative or 2 might be positive. But if we reinforce the positive behavior, so they might have this thing कि टीचर ने मेरे पॉजिटिव बिहेवियर को मेरे को ज्यादा अप्रिशिएट किया, तो शायद मैं अगर और पॉजिटिव बिहेवियर की तरफ जाऊंगा, नेगेटिव बिहेवियर को कम करके, तो टीचर्स के इसमें मैं गुड बुक्स में आ जाऊंगा. So set clear expectations and a simple instruction should be given. Like if you do this, you will be given this. And if you do that properly, you will be rewarded for it. You will be giving a reinforcement. So the next fourth tip is to chunk tasks. So break assignments into manageable steps with short breaks in between. Fifth one is use assistive tools, that is audiobooks, fidget tools, large print materials, or speech to text software. So the students who have ADHD can be provided with the fidget spinner. Obviously, they might misuse it as well, but as a tool, we can give them fidget spinner to lower their impulsiveness and inattentiveness. Now, practical strategies for inclusive education is encouraging peer students. So, peer buddies, assign classroom buddies to assist during transition or group work, as we have in our secondary section, and that is a very good initiative taken by all the teachers. I have seen across that there are peer buddies who take care after these children, and we are moving towards an inclusive education system. Circle time sharing, promote active listening and empathy building, celebrate differences, weekly show and tell about me sessions to share culture, abilities, and interests, collaborative projects, ensure mixed ability grouping where everyone contributes meaningfully. There is a small video.
How can we as teachers create an inclusive classroom environment that engages all of our students in the learning process, and not just those who are already engaged and participating? When classrooms are not intentionally designed to be inclusive, then a few student voices tend to dominate. How can we avoid this and accommodate and engage each student's unique learning needs? Let's start by considering what an inclusive classroom looks like. An inclusive classroom is one in which all students feel intellectually supported and are invited to develop a sense of belonging regardless of identity, learning preferences, or background. To achieve this, we need to develop a number of key characteristics. For example, in an inclusive classroom, all students have opportunities to actively participate. All students can make a personal connection to the course material. All students have the time to think. All students can pose ideas and construct their knowledge of the course content, and all students are explicitly welcomed into the intellectual discussion of the course content. Let's unpack each of these characteristics. Providing all students with the opportunity to actively participate is important because learning is not just an act of passively receiving knowledge. It is an act of constructing meaning and involves a student's active engagement and participation. To do this, we need to address the anxieties that can prevent students from engaging. For instance, many students find it intimidating to answer or pose questions while they are still trying to understand the material. This can make them hesitant to speak up in class. Additionally, many students, particularly those from historically underrepresented or marginalized backgrounds, may feel anxious about being judged. This can also put them in a vulnerable position if they need to answer questions while still trying to learn the material. We can help to dispel these concerns by explicitly inviting our students to contribute their thoughts, questions, and ideas, no matter where they are on their journey of understanding. To do so, we must intentionally establish the classroom tone such that students feel that their questions and ideas will always be engaged with respectfully and thoughtfully. One simple way to do this is to take a moment to appreciate and validate every question they ask. Now, verbal participation is often the most common way students are asked to engage during class. However, is it always the best option for every topic or for every student? Consider how some students may be better at expressing their understanding by drawing illustrations or making diagrams like concept maps. Other students may prefer expressing their understanding in writing, rather than speaking about it in front of the class. This highlights the importance of offering students other ways to express their knowledge, thoughts, and questions. For example, you may end every class with a few minutes of writing time in which students write down one important thing they learned that day and one thing they have a question about. Another option is to provide students with a thought-provoking question and to ask them to write their responses in a class discussion forum asynchronously. Offering our students multiple ways to participate in class is not only equitable and inclusive, but it also helps them to develop a wider range of communication skills. Let's move on to another characteristic of an inclusive classroom, providing all students with the opportunity to make a connection to the course material. Students will feel more motivated to understand the material if they can personally connect to it and see how it applies to something they care about. It is important to note that students have different interests, values, and backgrounds, so incorporating culturally diverse role models and values into your course helps more students to see themselves in the discipline. Now, it may not be possible to represent every student's cultural background, but making a wide range of culturally diverse connections to the course material demonstrates to your students that diverse perspectives are valued in your classroom. We should also try to apply the course content to a diverse array of real-world examples to help every student see how the course material relates to their own experiences and interests. For example, if you describe a concept in chemistry, consider also relating it to biology, medicine, food, art, charity or social work, history, etc. Different students will find different applications of the course material meaningful and relevant. Another key aspect of fostering an inclusive classroom is ensuring that all students have the time to think through in-class questions. For example, consider a scenario in which an instructor asks a question and calls on the first or second student who raises their hand. If the student answers correctly, the teacher may just move on with the lesson. In this example, while one or two students had enough time to think through the question, it is not clear whether the rest of the class had the time to fully process it. To help in this situation, we can turn to active learning techniques such as a 1-minute essay or a think, pair, share. These activities effectively provide a minute or two for all the students to think about the question and participate in the learning process before asking anyone to answer. Another strategy is to tell the students that you won't call on anyone until you see a certain number of hands raised. Techniques like these provide enough time for all the students to think through a question, which increases the number of students who are willing to participate in class discussions. Active learning also helps to provide all students with the opportunity to construct their knowledge of the course content, which is another characteristic of an inclusive classroom. When using active learning, teachers take on the role of facilitators, presenting the students with challenging problems and coaching them to apply the skills and concepts taught in the class to solve them. To achieve this, you can use active learning techniques like anonymous polling, group problem solving, concept mapping, statement corrections, and sequence reconstructions. These techniques enable each student to apply what they've learned to solve a problem and to construct their understanding of the material as they do so. Using a variety of different techniques can help to reach more students because certain techniques may work better for some students than others. This approach also has the benefit of helping students to explore a concept from different perspectives, which means they can make deeper connections between ideas. Finally, in an inclusive classroom, all students are explicitly welcomed into the intellectual discussion of the course content. This characteristic makes use of many of the others we've spoken about, providing all students the time to think, giving students opportunities to develop their own understanding of the material together through active learning exercises, and creating a culture that ensures that students feel comfortable contributing and asking questions. Together, these characteristics all contribute to a classroom where students know their voices and ideas are respected and valued. An inclusive classroom fosters mutually respectful relationships between students while engaging everyone in the learning process.
So, an inclusive classroom isn't perfect. It's patient, proactive, and full of possibilities. Moving towards the next topic, that is the classroom counseling, a tool for inclusion. So, a counseling psychologist in a school setting plays a vital bridging role between academic expectations, emotional well being, and social development. Their contribution includes assessment and identification, so observing the behaviors, administrating screening tools, and referring children with potential special needs. The second one is the emotional support, helping students cope with anxiety, low confidence, peer pressure, or frustration. Behavioral management, collaborating with teachers to design behavioral intervention plans. Parent guidance, supporting families in understanding and managing their child's needs. Teacher collaboration, training teachers on classroom strategies for inclusivity and mental health awareness. So the peer sensitization and empathy building activity can be also conducted. So building an inclusive mindset starts with peers. These activities help children understand and support classmates with special needs, different but same. In this activity, children list things that they like and things they find difficult. Helps show everyone has strength and challenges. Role reversal game stimulates difficulty. Example, writing with non-dominant hand, listening with background noise to foster understanding of LD or ADHD. Story sessions, read books like My Friend Has Autism. This is one of the book on autism. My Friend Has Autism or All Are Welcome, followed by discussion. Buddy system, pair students as helper during group tasks, builds confidence for both children. Classroom kindness jar, add a marble whenever someone shows empathy or helps a peer, promotes pro-social behavior. So role of empathy and communication, so how we should be addressing the children with special needs. The language and tone should be very calm and very silent. Words shape perception. Teachers must consciously use respectful, strength based language when addressing or speaking about CWSM. So, what we can use is instead of autistic child, we can say child with autism, or instead of wheelchair bound, uses a wheelchair, which also impacts very much. Slow learners, you can say, learns differently. Bad at reading, has difficulty with reading. So this slight changes of words impact a lot when it comes to the emotional and behavioral aspects. So instead of saying what's wrong with you, we can also say how can I help you today. you are always so distracted can be turned around as let's try a way that works for you and be normal like others. This is what usually they hear कि ये लोग तो ऐसे बोलते हैं कि be normal from the parents actually कि be like normal student, you are not at all good at things. So we can say everyone learns in their own way. Next is building a safe emotional environment. In school, as academically the student is growing, the student should also feel emotionally safe when it is a school setting. So, a child who feels emotionally safe is more likely to learn, engage, and connect. Strategies which can be used is validate feelings, acknowledge when a child feels upset or overwhelmed. It's okay to feel frustrated. Let's figure it out together. Can be a sentence used. Encourage effort over outcome. So I saw how hard you tried, that matters more than getting it right. Avoid public shaming. Use private corrections or redirections. We usually, out of our frustration or our work pressure, we sometimes public shame the students, but we can use a private corrections or redirection when it comes to normal or CWSN kids. Let's create classroom norms together. Let student help set rules for kindness, listening, and fairness. Model empathy. When you show understanding, students learn to mirror it. So they may not remember what you taught them, but they will always remember how you made them feel. So here there is a question. We have a previous like a ex-student who had some kind of disabilities. So many teachers have taught him. So if you could share your experience, how your experience was with him when you were teaching him. Does anyone remember that one student? I know his name, but I want some teachers, the senior teachers, because he.
Ma'am, can I share?
Yes, yes, Umesh sir.
Uh, just a minute. Ma'am, that's same Nehal Tiwari. She is
Okay.
highly autistic and a slightly dyslexic student only. Anu ma'am, and we have taught her. And her story is very different. In the older school, she was tied with the chair. And when she came to us, it was very different. Actually, this kind of people does not like to be treated as special children. They
Yes.
like to be treated as a normal. So we, from our side, we tried to her to be normal only. Once, so she burned me also, but it was fine. I made her understand what was the thing. So after that, she made it very nicely. And right now, she is a leading entrepreneur. She's a stone carver. She paints the stone and sells it to the highly prestigious yeah, industries like Larsen and Turbo and all that stuff. So
Wow.
she has been awarded the youngest, one of the youngest entrepreneur last year, and she's from our school.
Very nice. So
And
kudos for the teachers also for supporting her and being with her without the differences like she had, but supporting her always. There is one more student, one more boy. I know his name. If someone could share
Bhavya
experience.
Shah.
Bhavya
Bhavya
Shah.
Shah.
Yes, yes, Zainab
Bhavya
ma'am.
Shah is a very, very, he was, when I joined in this school, he was in sixth grade, but he had a problem with his eyes, vision, and slowly and gradually it dimmed out. And I think within a year or so, he was having lot of difficulty and then slowly diminished. And I would like to just mention over here, uh, he would used to recognize me by he was always the first bencher, and I used to stand near. I was in the habit of moving around and teaching, but whenever I went in 6th A, I used to stand, and he could, that time uska vision tha, he was able to
हाँ.
see very very dimly, so he could see my watch which I wear till date. तो वो हमेशा मेरी वॉच को देख के बोलता था, why are you wearing leather belt watch, wear some metal का watch, ऐसे करके used to, that means without seeing me he still used to observe me, I feel. दूसरे
Right.
बच्चे तो काफी देख के they used to observe, because this is what teacher का qualities are there which we pay, it becomes secondary for us, but for children our appearance, our approach, how we are approaching to them, all that matters a lot. And because of which later on when he was with me for MUN and all also, he had received standing ovation at Dallas College. almost there were around crowd of thousands plus people, and that was what it touched me
One
a lot.
minute,
That
Zainab ma'am. Kathy ma'am, your mic has been unmuted. Yeah, Zainab ma'am.
so he had developed a lot. Abhi in recently uski mom मुझे बता रही थी that he has come back from abroad, and he is Stanford से connected है. He is doing stand up shows and all, and he is too good. मतलब इतना difficulty hai, he is taking it as a positive challenge, and he has accepted everything, and he is doing really good. He's been so well known, और हर जगह पे he had received scholarship. Everywhere he has been getting becoming more and more renowned. Fame is there, name is there, everything is there for that child, and it's like आई थिंक वी ऑल मतलब हमको ऐसे बच्चे को पढ़ाने का मौका मिलता है तो हमारी भी काफी स्किल्स जस्टिफाई करते हैं, बट टू गुड, ही इज रियली टू गुड.
Exactly. So, despite having so
Ma'am,
many
I'll add
differences,
to Zainab, ma'am,
yes, yes,
Bhavyas
Umesh.
only. He's been awarded as a India's best 5 debaters for the international platform.
Wow, that's a great thing.
And like upon talking about Nehal, and Nehal was our not only state, she was a national topper for that year for science.
Good.
And her book, mom has written the book Sangharsh, Sang and Harsh.
Sangar, Sang and Harsh. Wow.
Yeah.
So, right. So, despite having so many difficulties, and I'm sure they might be remembering you all now also, because they might not remember what you thought, but they will always remember how you made them feel about their presence. As Yasmin Zainab ma'am told कि he was more connected कि उसने watch देखा और उसने बोला. So observations and the way you approached him, एंड सर जब भी उसने आपका हाथ बर्न किया था तभी आपने जिस तरह से उसको अप्रोच किया रहेगा या आपने उसको जैसे एक्सप्लेन किया रहेगा वो उसको लाइफ टाइम याद रहेगा कि यस दीज वर माय टीचर्स. So moving next is an open discussion. So as we are in an inclusive education setup, there are also few difficulties that teachers face. Or you can share your experience of how the inclusive education is. Primary teachers, pre-primary teachers, secondary, everyone can just put in their inputs. If challenges, you can talk about challenges or your experiences of dealing with such type of kids. The co-scholastic teachers who are taking LD students, what are your experience?
My last 10 to 12 years, I'm teaching my LD students, and this me and Sarita ma'am both are doing. Even computer, Vrushali ma'am also.
Vishali,
So
yes.
we are different students we are facing. From that, many are now really star like how sir has told Nehal, same way Kushi and Kushali like this, and now they are top designers in the outside. So ex students are very good. Just now Hussein and Dhruv cannot able to speak perfectly, but then also he's very good and very nicely he doing art. He not able to draw, but whichever work I'm giving, that all work he's doing. Hussein little bit still need to manage, but he's doing. Now he's improving a lot in the coming 10th standard. So थोड़ा responsibility लेने लगा है. We have a different problem. Uh, and I've seen sometimes I feel that they should not get the retest or something. उनका पेपर थोड़ा lenient होना चाहिए. उनको थोड़ा थोड़ा motivations marks मिलने चाहिए. So they will get more confidence about everything.
Yes, right, Kashmira Miss. Even I have seen in this 1 year of span that जो initially थे June July में and now towards the end of the academic year, I have seen quite changes in both of
Come
them.
like in front of me now. First, he was very aggressive and never used to come in the class. He used to run
Yes.
only in the library. So now he's coming and sitting, at least started doing the
He
work.
has started to sit, right. Any other pre-primary teachers? Yes, Umesh sir.
Ma'am, sometimes the parents also plays an important role in it. A
Exactly.
very
Yes.
important role in it. Like whichever students we have got that Omkar Mota, the parents were really good. Like I'm just saying about Snehal, Tiwari. She was, I think, she is one of the pioneer for bringing calculators for us, not CBSE, for our students from 10 to 12, because her mom fought for that for her calculator. But after her passing out from her grade, afterwards, now last 2 years, the calculators are out for CBSE. So parents also play an important role into it.
Yes, definitely, Umesh. So that is one of the challenge we as an educational institute face when it comes to CWS in children. That many parents are not accepting the fact that the child is a little different, and they can't just tell the child to be a normal student. So they need to accept the things, and when they are accepting all these differences, the child definitely gets motivated and reaches a higher level in their school setting and their life, as you told about Bhavya and Snehal. So when the parents are motivated and accepting the things, the children also gets motivated. कि ठीक है, at least our parents are supporting us, and let the world be aside, but our parents are with us. Anyone who wants to add their experience?
Good evening, Sakshi ma'am. Am I audible? I had been teaching these CWS and students from past many years. I am supposed to take a viva in their evaluation part. Many times I have seen that they are not able to put it up correctly on the in the written manner, that is on the answer sheets. They give me during the vivas are quite practical and thoughtful ones. And I am also surprised to hear those answers. So I think they have got that ability, and they might not be very good at writing compared to other children, but I think they do understand the subjects and they are able to express them. Like we have one mode of evaluation, which is a viva in my subject. So that is happening very correctly. Till now, the experience has been very good. However, and wherever I have asked them questions, all these people have communicated very well, and the answers were almost all practical ones. This is one experience which I would like to share with all the teachers.
Thank you so much, Vishali ma'am, for sharing your experience. And yes, Viva is a very nice support to understand and assess their academic background. Because when it comes to writing, they feel a little bored or they don't want to write, and sometimes they can't just put it down on the paper properly. So that is a little challenge which we sometimes face when it comes to the assessment part. Anyone else would like to give their experience or share their experience? Primary teachers, Jasmine ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. I could share one of the experience about a child. He
Yes.
was a slow learner. Actually, he's not. He was not in our school. I used to give him a training at home. So he was very keen to learn, but he was having a lot of issues. No, was a slow. He was not set in one place, and whenever he used to write his first letter capital, in between will write small letters, and again one capital letter. So I understood he has an issue, but slowly and steadily around, I think I have taught him for around 5 6 years, and then later on also when he went in 12, then he went in GY. So he just said, ma'am, I want your Midas touch, because I know when you teach me I'll be able to do, I can perform, because I respect you also, and whatever you teach me it all goes into my head. So I could relate and I can remember the way he was learning things, but it was very difficult for him to remember and memorize the question answers and all. At times they have to memorize things and write your, if we talk about the ICSE standard 10, they have to memorize certain things and then write. So in grade 9 and 10 they have the same textbook for history, and it is about 25 chapters, and the child had learned that book so well. When he went in grade 10, and I saw the way he could remember. So when we used to solve the 5 years question paper, he could just tell me, ma'am, this question, no, it is non-cooperation movement or whichever civil disobedience movement, or it is from the president of India, that chapter. Ma'am, the answer is no. When you open the book, na, the answer is on the left page, right on the top. The answer is on the right side, in the center. He could just remember like that. Of course, it was a lot of hard work. I used to teach him around 3 to 4 hours every day. I didn't know. I just thought it is a challenge for me, and I want this child to stand somewhere. So when he got his 10th standard result, he got 94% marks.
Wow,
And
that's a great
in
achievement.
Yes, it was a very great achievement. I can never forget until date. He is in touch with me and he always respects wherever he sees me. He always bow down and try to touch my feet. He the
Yes.
excellent child. When he did it 12th standard, he couldn't do much. Only last 4 months I said, okay, I'll just come to see what you have learned. So
Hmm.
then he got 86%. And when he was in GY, his mom called me, see, ma'am, nobody is going to teach him because he is not studying. So it was only last 3 months I just was there with him for doing his when he was doing his TY become, and he actually got 82%. So it's like you achieve something when you teach them and you also learn what they are, and of course helping those type of children. It's nothing that they cannot achieve. They can also achieve certain things, and to certain heights they can also go. And he had taken maths. It's not that he had dropped maths. He had
Wow.
taken maths, he's taken everything, and with all these, he had achieved that good percentage. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you so much for sharing your wonderful experience. And by this, I thank you all for attending this training. And to all the teachers, more having the stressful life, working pressure, and busy life, always be kind to your mind. And thank you so much. Thank you, Kathy ma'am, Madhu ma'am, and Veena ma'am, and everyone to giving me this opportunity for performing, for giving this training. It was my first experience in a school setting to give a workshop. So thank you so much.
Sakshi, you have done amazing way, nice videos, slides, and everything. I'm so happy because actually I deal with all kids, so it's helped me for all the things. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Kashmira ma'am. Thank you.
Sakshi,
Yes,
Sakshi,
Puni.
you have done wonderful job.
Thank you.
I really did all the PPTs and in between the videos. And this topic is also very touching to my heart because I really deal with grade 6 to 8, all these kind of students. And I think how to bring a smile on their faces. So this topic is also really very touching and you have presented it very wonderful way.
Thank
Thank
you,
you. Thank
Poonam ma'am.
you.
साक्षी मॅम.
Yes, हाँ Aarti ma'am.
गुड इव्हनिंग मॅडम.
Good evening.
खूप सुंदर रीतीने तुम्ही आम्हाला सांगितलं. आम्हाला पण नवीन माहिती मिळाली. आपण या मुलांना कसं नेहमीच बघत असतो, पण आपला बघण्याचा दृष्टिकोन त्याच्यामुळे बदलू पण शकतो. आणि
Yes.
कलांनी आपण जर घेतलं तर ही मुलं आपल्याला समजण्यास अधिक सोपी जातील. खूप सुंदर व्हिडिओ आणि खूप छान तुमचं वर्कशॉप म्हणा किंवा ट्रेनिंग म्हणा, आजचा विषय खूप वेगळा होता आणि खूप अजून नवीन इन्फॉर्मेशन आम्हाला मिळाली. थँक्यू
Thank
सो
you,
मच
Kashmira ma'am.
तुमचं कळला म्हणून.
Thank you so much.
Sakshi ma'am, it was wonderful to have you. And actually, I was also revising all the topic
Yes.
what I have learned in my college time. Thank you so
Exactly.
much for reliving my those memories and days. Thank you very much. Very, very informative, very nicely well managed.
Thank you, ma'am. Khyati ma'am.
Yes, Sakshi ma'am, it was a wonderful training.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. It was very, very interesting and nice to hear from you.
Thank
I
you. Thank
thoroughly
you so
enjoyed
much
myself.
for giving me the opportunity.
Ma'am,
Thank you,
have you
ma'am.
shared the attendance link?
Thank you, Sakshi ma'am, for giving so much informative workshop to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Sakshi ma'am,
Khyati.
have you shared the attendance link?
Oh, no, I'm sharing it. 1 minute.
Yes.
This is one of topic in CTET also, inclusive education.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
To help you for appearing in CTET exams, inclusive education.
Just give me a minute. I'm sharing the attendance link.
Shall I share it, ma'am?
No, I got it, ma'am.
Okay.
1 minute, yes. Ma'am, can you, because I don't think it's not.
No, don't worry, I'll share it.
Yes, sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Sakshi Miss. It was superb, enriching session. Really, very well explained.
Thank you,
Very
Rosina,
informative.
ma'am.
Excellent.
Thank
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sakshi ma'am. Very interesting session and very well presented with so much ease. You made us understand all the concepts so easily and so beautifully and very
Thank
interactive.
you. Thank you so much.
Dear teachers, the attendance link is shared. Kindly fill it up.
Delzing ma'am, your mic is. Oh, thank you.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Ma'am, can I stop the recording? Kati ma'am?
Yes, you